Now, there is a very specific sound that every van lifer dreads. It's not the sound of a failing alternator. It's not the knock of a bad suspension joint. It is a quiet, rhythmic drip of water hitting your freshly installed panels during the midnight downpour. Now, I've lived on the road full time for about 4 years now, and I can tell you right now that out here, water is the enemy. So today we're going to be putting 400 watts of solar power on the roof of this Peugeot Boxer. Over the last 25 years working as a professional trade joiner, I've learned that when you penetrate the envelope of a structure, whether it's a £500 house or a panel van, you only get one chance to seal it right. Now, Mother Nature does not care about your timelines, and she definitely doesn't care about your budget. Water will find a path of the least resistance. So today we are going to shut the path down completely. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I'm mounting these two 200 watt solar panels on this Boxer roof. So keeping my boots on the ground for as long as possible and executing a dual seal Sikaflex technique that guarantees 0% chance of water ingress. So grab your drill and let's get to work. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. You've spent weeks, maybe months, setting up for your van. You've painstakingly laid out your floor and you've started looking at insulation. And now you're standing on top of a step ladder, holding a drill, staring down a perfectly good, unblemished sheet of metal. Now, I know exactly what's going through your head right now. It's that 3 AM anxiety spiking. What if I drill this hole in the wrong spot? What if the sealant fails? What if I ruin the entire electrical system and rot my installation because of one stupid mistake? Now, I know this fear intimately because I have lived that nightmare. When I built out my old 2014 Vauxhall Vivaro, I rushed the solar gland a little bit. I didn't think about the topography of the roof, and I didn't respect how the water pools up. The result was a slow, insidious leak that haunted me. At the end of the day, we are only human. We all make mistakes, but the difference between an amateur build and a professional trade quality conversion is learning from those failures, so you never have to repeat them again. You are terrified of turning your Peugeot Boxer into a mobile swimming pool, and you should be. It's a healthy fear. It means you care about the integrity of your build. Today I'm going to take that fear away. I'm going to show you the exact mechanics of a bulletproof roof installation, so you can sleep through the heaviest thunderstorms without even flinching. Now, the secret to a flawless roof install actually starts on the ground. Now, when you are up on the roof of a Peugeot Boxer, in this instance, space is incredibly limited. It is cramped up there and the metal can be slick. And once those massive 200 watt solar panels go down, your working room drops to absolutely zero. Don't get me wrong, working at height is dangerous, and it's also where you most likely drop a bolt, lose your patience and compromise your work. So rule number one, we do as little as work as possible on the roof. Right now I am at the back of the van with these panels laid out flat and safe. I'm sorting out every single bracket, lining up all the hardware and getting them permanently screwed to the solar panel frames before they ever see elevation. Now, when you are doing this, you must use a standard washer paired with a lock washer. A panel van is essentially a rolling earthquake. The vibration from down a corrugated dirt road or even hitting a pothole will back out a standard nut in a matter of weeks. The lock washer bites into the metal and assures that the brackets will stay exactly where you set them. Do not skip the locking hardware. And once the brackets are securely torqued onto the panels, it's time to carefully hoist them onto the roof along with every tool, bolt and tube of sealant we are going to need. So I'll get them all positioned over the mounting points and just slightly bolt them down. Put in only 1 or 2 bolts in the brackets just for now. The main goal is we'd want them anchored, so if a gust of wind comes along, it doesn't throw them 200 watt solar panels into a neighbour's windshield. But we do need enough play to manoeuvre around for the most critical step of the entire build, the entry gland. This is where my Vivaro failed, and this is where we ensure that your Peugeot Boxer survives. So we cut a 25mm hole straight through the roof to route the heavy duty solar cables down to the electrical cabinet. But here is a trade secret that will save your build. Now look closely at the roof of your Boxer. It's all corrugated. It has ridges, which are the high spots, and the valleys, which are the low spots. Now most people drill right into the valley because it's flat and it looks easy. Now this, in my opinion, is a catastrophic error. When it rains, water immediately rushes to those valleys and pulls up. Now if your cable gland is sitting in a puddle of standing water, hydrostatic pressure will eventually force moisture through that sealant. It's not a matter whether it will leak, but when. You must mount the cable gland on a high spot, the peak of the roof rib. Now by putting it on a high point, gravity does the work for you, constantly shredding water away from your drilled hole. Now before we drill that hole and apply the dual seal, we need to make sure you have the exact right hardware to hand. Because I don't want you guessing while you're standing on top of your van, I've put together a completely free Peugeot Boxer solar parts and tools checklist. It outlines the exact drill bits, locking hardware and sealant grades I used for this job. So click the link down in the description below, grab your free download and get your gear sorted before you start cutting the metal. Alright, so we have our high spot marked. Take a center punch and tap the metal so your drill doesn't wander, and drill that 25mm hole. File the edges smooth so you don't slice your cables, and treat all the bare metal with rust treatment. Now here's where we deploy the dual sear Sikaflex technique. Sikaflex is an industrial marine grade adhesive and sealant. It doesn't just block water, it permanently bonds surfaces together. So we apply a thick, continuous bead of Sikaflex around the base of the gland and press it firmly onto the high spot of the roof. But we don't stop there. Sealant needs pressure to cure correctly against the contours of the metal. So in this instance, I've taken a heavy 5-litre container of water and place it directly on top of the gland. It later did fall off the roof, by the way, because I forgot it was there. But this actually provides the dead weight that you need for holding the plastic housing perfectly flush against the steel. Now while the Sikaflex cures over the next 24 hours, while the gland is setting up, we lock down the solar panels. Before you tighten the final bolts on those brackets, you lift them slightly and pump some more Sikaflex underneath the bracket. You press the bracket down into the wet sealant, creating an impermeable gasket between the aluminium bracket and the van roof. Then you just drive your bolts home. Finally, the absolute 100% overkill protection. We take the Sikaflex and create a dome over every single exposed bolt head and hole. We encapsulate the hardware entirely. Why, you might ask? Well, because the water cannot penetrate a solid wall of marine adhesive. By putting Sikaflex under the bracket and another layer over the top of the bolt holes, you are creating a waterproof sandwich. Even if a drop of water somehow bypasses the top of the dome, it just hits the lower gasket and stops dead. No water gets in, period. When you execute the job this way, you take the guesswork out of the equation. You ain't just crossing your fingers hoping it won't leak. You know that it won't leak because you've engineered the failure points out of the system. Now this is the difference between blindly following a random internet forum and applying genuine trade mechanics to your build. But dealing with the roof is only one fraction of your van's conversion. What happens when you move inside? What happens when you have to calculate the structural framing for your bed? Plot out the exact plumbing runs for your 70 litre fresh water and waste tanks, or figure out the precise payload distribution for your boxer. You can spend hundreds of hours watching disjointed videos and suffering through expensive trial and error, or you can get it right the first time. Now this is exactly why I've created the Peugeot Boxer Conversion Blueprint. This isn't just a basic guide, it's a comprehensive master level digital product detailing the exact structure, blueprints, materials, specs and sequencing that I've used after 25 years on the tools. It completely eliminates measurement stress and cuts weeks off your build time, and ensures your boxer is safe, functional and built to last. So if you want the ultimate shortcut to a professional grade van conversion, then click the link below, grab your Peugeot Boxer Conversion Blueprint today, get your panels locked down, respect the weather, and I'll see you guys on the next one.